Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Wednesday, February the 25th. Today is really the big day here in the overall markets, of course, with NVDA earnings here in the after hours. Overall markets, as you can see, really just ranging, right? Going down, up, right? Rejecting off key levels of resistance, bouncing off key levels of support. We've really been inside of this range for the past 5 sessions on the major indices. Currently, we're at the top of the range. So we'll keep an eye out on the key levels coming into market open here, of course. Before we head on to the charts and the economic calendar, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, TW, Andreas, Cody, Marcus, Deuce, Mark, Dave, KO, Maria, Nontali, Saki. Good morning, Cosmic, Lamit, I am, Deuce, VTDO, 51. Lily, what's up, Cinna? Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's pull up the economic calendar before we head on to the charts. As for today, as you can see, we do have no red folder news events. The main thing is NVIDIA earnings. So we'll kind of talk about that and how that's going to impact the market. But we have been waiting for this for about a week now. You can see the overall markets have been just primarily consolidating in between the range. Just because we haven't had any clear direction on the higher time frames, a lot of uncertainty in the markets, a lot of tariffs that are put on, taken off. So we have a lot of kind of news all over. And that's just kind of not really giving us a clear direction here. So the main thing here, of course, and also not to mention, right, the AI fears and everything along the lines. So with NVIDIA, we do have earnings. This is the leader industry here. So let's see if there's any sort of guidance, right? If NVIDIA breaks out of the range that we do have, which is above that 184, potentially we can see some nice continuation towards the upside. So really today, as I mentioned, NVIDIA earnings in the after hours. Besides that, we're going to have unemployment tomorrow. That is going to be at 8:30. And then on Friday, we have core PPI, which is also at 8:30. So let's go back on to the charts to show you guys exactly what the levels we have coming into today, starting off with the SPY. So as you can see here, we're going to talk about the SPY along with the ES, but primarily we've just been consolidating inside of this range for the past almost, I'd say the past at least a week and a half, right? Just kind of consolidating in between this range, going from the top of the range down into the bottom of the range. And as you can see, yesterday price came back down in towards that previous day lows, one of the levels that we had marked out, and we actually had a really solid bounce here off that previous day lows, and now we're gravitating back up and towards our Monday's highs for the week. So coming into today here for the ES, as I mentioned, we are gravitating up and towards the top of the range. So a very possible scenario coming to market open just based off the overall market context, right? Potential kind of pop and fade, break back underneath, and a reversal right back down in towards our previous day close, 6,900. The only way we're looking for longs, I think longs are going to be a little bit more difficult off the open, just because we have NVIDIA earnings in the after hours. We're already having this push up in towards, of course, a key level of resistance. If we break above, this retest is in play, as I mentioned, but it's just going to be a lot more difficult with this gap that we have created here in the overnight session. So we very much well could pop, right, reject off this level and reverse back towards the downside. So really coming to market open, there's two scenarios, as I mentioned, break above, continuation. We want to be a little bit more cautious of this just because we've had a lot more reversals in the market. A reversal play is going to be the pop, rejection, and then we could be looking for the fade back down in towards that previous day close, as I mentioned. If we go on to the SPY chart, a very similar thesis here. We've really primarily just been consolidating. As you can see, based off the daily chart, we are still technically very much intact towards the upside. So SPY has not broken underneath a key level of support, which happens to be our, honestly, even our higher low key level. SPY has not broken below that 675. So we're maintaining a bullish structure here on the daily. Now, if we can break back above key levels, the next level is going to be back up and towards our all-time highs, really our 700 key psych. So for the SPY coming into market open here today, the key levels that we are going to have marked out is going to be our 689. So as you can see here, we've really just been consolidating inside of this range. If we can now break above our 689, potentially we can see some continuation. If we reject, we're going to see a push right back down in towards that previous day close. So key levels today, we're going to have marked out here is going to be that 689 along with our 690. As I mentioned, the break above, hold above our 690 might be a little bit more difficult just because we're going to have a gap, right? Overall market has been having more mean reversions than continuation. I do expect tonight with NVIDIA earnings to give us a lot more guidance moving forward. So as I mentioned earlier, NVIDIA earnings is what we've been waiting for, and that should give us more guidance if NVIDIA earnings can, if we can beat earnings, or if we can have some more guidance, we can break outside this range, specifically on NVIDIA plus, right, the Qs as well. So the key levels that we have marked out is of course going to be this 690. If we can maintain above, we can be looking for this continuation right off the bat. If we break back underneath and reject, then we're going to see this push right back down in towards our previous day close and back in between the range that we had from yesterday. So the key level today is going to be that 690. We're going to keep an eye out on the reaction that we have off this level. Let's go on to the NQ. The NQ is actually trying to break above our previous day highs, our high that we created here for this week. But as you can see, similar thesis here, we've really just been ranging in between our key levels, which is our 25,100 along with our 24,650. So as you can see, this is the top of the range, right? Bounces off the low of the range, rejections off the top of the range. So as you can see, we've just been ranging in between these key levels. So coming into today here for the NQ, the key levels that we're going to have marked out is going to be our top of the range, which also is our last week's highs. So coming into today, let's keep an eye out on our 25,100. If we do want to see some upside, we need to see it maintain above this level for any sort of continuation towards the upside, right? Break above, retest for continuation. If we, right, pop, super sharp rejection, break back underneath our previous day highs, we can see this mean reversion right back down in towards our middle of the range, back down in towards our 25,000. So key levels every single day, we're just going to mark out that previous day highs and previous day lows. These levels have been serving us very nicely and have been using as a guide, basically coming to market open every day and just keeping the reaction that we have off these levels. As for the QQQ, very similar thesis here, right? We've just been ranging in between our 600 along with our 610. As you can see, we have multiple touches off this general area, right? Multiple bounces off the bottom of the area. Now for the Qs coming to market open here, we are trying to open above our previous day highs along with our last week's highs. If we want to see longs, maintain above our 610 for continuation towards the upside. If we end up rejecting our key levels, then we could be looking for this mean reversion back down in towards our previous day close along with our 605, which would be the middle of the range. So this is what we have for the major indices coming into market open here on the SPY and the QQQ. If there is a reason to break out, as I mentioned, and start continuing back towards the upside, it is going to be that NVIDIA earnings, which is very important tonight. So anything beforehand, right, we can get some nice day trades today. But the main thing, of course, is going to be tonight with NVIDIA earnings in the after hours. Okay, now let's go on to the SMH along with the IWM. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Okay, Let's first talk about the SMH. So the SMH here is the semiconductor ETF. So all the semiconductors, and as you can see, this one ended up breaking above our all-time highs, and now we're having this nice continuation. We kind of talked about our flat top break yesterday. All these higher lows are being built here in the markets. So the SMH is really leading the markets higher. So the Qs, as you can see, not quite back at all-time highs. SPY not quite back at all-time highs. SMH is the one that is leading the markets higher. So that's why, right, AMD, NVDA, a bunch of these other semiconductors have been bouncing nicely. But overall, the key levels that we do have marked out was our our 417. So as you can see, multiple touches here. Once we're able to break above that 417, nice hold above our 417 for continuation. So as you can see for SMH, buyers stepped in right off the bat, right dip, filled its gap towards the downside, buyers stepped in, reclaimed back above our 417, and now we're having a nice hold of that level. So moving forward here, based off of the daily time frame, as long as we can maintain above our 420, along with that 417, we could be looking for a continuation higher, and we like to see the daily form and just continue up into that next key level, which is going to be that 430 here on the higher time frame. So that's what we have coming into market open. Other levels that we can have marked out here now as well is going to be our 420 previous day highs, along with our key level all the way back from later in January. So key levels here on the SMH coming into market open is going to be that previous day highs. As long as you can maintain, as I mentioned, 420, we can be looking for this continuation higher. So keep an eye on SMH, dip and rip off our 420, which is going to be that previous day highs coming into market open. As for the IWM, this one bouncing off the low of the range once again, a lot more consolidation here. Key levels, as you can see, top of the range, bottom of the range, nice bounce. And now you can see we're just right back up and towards that 265. So really not too much to talk about here on the IWM, just bounces and rejections off key levels. All right, now let's head on to some tech names that we do have. If you guys do have any charts now, I'll go over some of these tech names and then I'll head on to some other names here in a bit. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I watched the live stream. Yeah, if you just joined, make sure to watch the introduction video, but it's going to be held in the Discord, and we also have a Zoom link as well. Let's see what else. Okay, let's go on to Tesla. So Tesla, nice push towards the downside on Monday. Yesterday, we ended up reclaiming back above key levels, which happened to be our 401. That was key here for Tesla. If we reject off this level, we can see continuation down in towards our 390s. The reclaim back above our 401 is going to be key. So we end up getting that reclaim. Nice retest off that 401 for a pushback up in towards that 405. Now what we have here on Tesla is a gap fill, which we recently just filled back towards the upside. So key levels, previous day highs, and you can see we had this gap fill from Friday that we created here over the weekend. And then the next key level towards the upside, of course, is going to be that 415. So coming into today here for Tesla, nice bounce. Now we're right around our previous day highs. Key levels that we're going to have is going to be our 410. So if we do want to see upside today above our 410, hold above our 410 for continuation up and towards that 415. And we kind of zoom in here. So key level here is at 410. If we reject off this level, get underneath our previous day highs, we can potentially see a mean reversion back down in towards our pre-market lows and our key levels from yesterday, which would be our 407 and our 405. So this is what we have for Tesla coming to market open. Most names are opening up right around our previous day highs coming into today. So we'll keep an eye out on the reaction that we have off our previous day highs coming into today. As for the main ticker here, which is NVDA. So let's talk about NVDA. We're not going to be trading this one today, but just based off of the higher time frames, As you can see, we have the low of the range, we have the high of the range. We've tested this multiple times. As you can see, we've hit this level about 6 times now, and all we're doing is waiting for the break above this 194. Right now, we're only gonna break it. Plus, we have a news catalyst coming up as well, which is earnings. So now this can be the news catalyst that helps us break through our 194, hold above that level for continuation higher. It very much well could just reject with the news if it comes in bad and just comes right back inside the range, which would be a little bit unfortunate because we would just be straight back into this range that we've created for the past 2.5 months here on NVIDIA. So we'll keep an eye out on the reaction that we have within the after hours, of course. As I mentioned, we do have NVIDIA earnings tonight. The key levels, at least for today, right, higher time frame is this 194. So we are gravitating up and towards the top of the range. We rejected here on Monday, a couple times yesterday, but now we're above it here in the pre-market. If we want to see some upside, at least today, we need it above our 195 for continuation towards the upside. What I personally would like to see is a reject and then just kind of consolidate pre-earnings. But key level here is going to be that 194.50. So this is what we have for NVIDIA coming to market open. As I mentioned, just be a little bit more hands off. We'll wait for a clear direction tomorrow in the day after on NVIDIA. Now let's head on to AMD. So AMD, the key levels I have marked out is our 218. Other levels that I have marked out yesterday was just a previous intraday pivot point, which happened to be that 5-minute range high. But we can technically get rid of that if we'd like. So really coming to market open here for AMD, we went from the low of the range back up and towards the top of the range. And now you can see a couple reactions here off our 218, right? Bigger upper wick. We had some consolidation, which is what I preferred yesterday. Now, if we do want to see upside, we can potentially have a day 2 mover here on AMD. It's going to be the reclaim back above our 218 for any sort of continuation. So coming to market open here on AMD, yesterday we had news. It was just really consolidation intraday though during the market hours. Now, if we want to see a move on AMD, I like this a little bit better just because we had a little bit more consolidation in between that big pop that we had in the pre-market. So for AMD coming to market open, what I'm going to keep an eye out for is going to be the previous day high retest for continuation towards the upside. So we'll keep an eye out on AMD coming into market open above our 217. If price comes up, rejects off our previous day highs, where it kind of consolidates, I'll still be looking for the reclaim later into the day above that 217. So I do like AMD, as I mentioned, above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. So this will be one of the names we'll keep an eye out for today. I'm not as interested in AMD shorts. This could very much well be in play, which would be the rejection here off that 217. I'm not as interested as I mentioned, but this is very much well what could form in the market. So we'll keep an eye out on that previous day highs coming into today on this ticker. Now let's head on to Apple. Apple, another one which is just a lot of strength right off the bat. No real entries besides that first dip. Sorry, but Apple was a nice move above our 266. This is the level that we talked about yesterday. Strong buyers above our previous day highs. Nice continuation towards the upside. So coming into market open here today, the key levels that you're going to have marked out is, of course, going to be our high that we created here on Monday. You can be looking for the dip and rip for continuation towards the upside. Or now you'd be waiting for the break back above our 273, which happens to be our after hours highs, right? Multiple touches and basically the area that we broke down from yesterday. So key levels here on Apple, 269 or our 273. Let's keep an eye out on Google. Key levels coming into market open here just based off the hourly chart. You can see Google, nice buyer stepping in here off our earnings low. So this is that low risk entry here for potential mean reversion, kind of this higher time frame, potential inverse head and shoulders. So you like to see a buyer step in, higher lows be built off of this 308. And now you like to see this reclaim back above this 316 if you do want to see any sort of pushback towards the upside. Other key levels that you can have marked out: previous day highs here on Google. If you want to see continuation above your previous day highs for this push towards the upside, shorts are in play underneath our previous day highs for this push back down in towards that 310. So this is what we have for Google coming to market open here. Let's go on to Microsoft. So Microsoft here, as I mentioned, now for Microsoft, we do have a very key level here on the higher time frames. Plus, the reclaim is now in play back above this this 393. So key levels for Microsoft is going to be this 393. I do like this reclaim back above for this mean reversion back towards the upside. Other levels that we can have marked out here now is just going to be this previous day highs, which we can drag over. So key level right above our 393 for continuation. Another possible scenario, bounce here off our 389 for this continuation towards the upside. As for Meta here, right, nothing too much going on here, just kind of bouncing off key levels of support. This one a little bit slower. Key levels are just based off of the hourly chart. Not too much is happening on the lower time frames. So just keep an eye out on your key level of support, which is our 630s here on Meta. As for Amazon, let's keep an eye out on this 212. So as you can see, Amazon, nice bounce here off our 202. Key level that we have here is going to be our 212. If we can break above our 212, continuation towards the upside. As you can see, we have multiple touches. So now we just like to see the break above our 212, hold above our 212 for continuation higher. If we reject, another possible scenario, just right back towards the downside. And then for Netflix, this one in this range here as well, we need to see the break, retest above our 79.50 for any sort of continuation higher. So as you can see, a lot of these tickers have been ranging, which makes it a lot more difficult, especially the past few weeks in the market. So now what we'd be waiting for is, as I mentioned, the NVDA earnings. So we've basically been waiting for this for the past week now. Ever since we had major news from a few weeks ago with FOMC, the next major news event was going to be this NVIDIA earnings. So now we'll wait for the guidance that we do have, of course, in the after hours. And hopefully now we can start seeing some trends in the markets. So NVIDIA trends, Q's trends, right? SPY, let's see if we can get that trend back towards the upside, since as I mentioned, we have been ranging. So that is the majority of the tech names that we do have. As I mentioned, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers here now, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Alrighty. Let's answer some questions here. NVIDIA's potential play, if you look at intraday, yeah. When you're trading NVIDIA, right now you do have Mondays and Wednesdays expiration. So technically, if you trade Wednesday's expirations, it's not going to be affected, and the IV is not going to be as elevated as, let's say, a Friday's expiration, since we have earnings tonight. And of course, the options expire tonight. Which is not horrible, but obviously we don't expect a clear trend on NVIDIA until we have earnings. Can we break above and start trending today? We very much well could, but majority of the times pre-earnings, it's best to just wait for after earnings, because that's when the big move happens. Let's go on to Palantir. You said you want to trade NVIDIA, but what if it finally breaks? If it finally breaks, right, you can trade the 0-day contracts, but as I mentioned, majority of the times the big move always happens after earnings. So whatever happens today is going to be insignificant to what happens tonight, which is the earnings when we're going to have an implied move. As for Palantir, as you can see so far, it's bouncing off the bottom of the range. So Palantir here, right at a key level of support. Currently, we are bouncing. Buyers are stepping in here off our 128. If you do want to see any sort of buyers right? You can see this nice potential kind of mean reversion, break of the trend line for this pushback towards the upside. It is a very low risk opportunity here for a pushback towards the upside on Palantir. The only way I'm interested in a short is now underneath that 128, underneath our key levels of support. So if we go into the lower time frames today, the key levels that we have marked out is going to be that 130s. If we can break back above our 130, we can be looking for continuation higher. Another possible scenario is going to be that previous day high bounce right off the bat. And you could be looking for continuation back towards the upside here as well. Only way we're still interested in shorts is going to be, as I mentioned, either a super strong rejection right off the bat, or now shorts are in play underneath that 127, which is going to be that previous day lows. All right, let's go on to a few other tickers here. So a couple names moving in the pre-market, right? Kind of just bouncing off key lows, right? Oracle, AVGO mini bounce here as well in the pre-market. So some of the key levels that we have marked out is now just going to be that previous day highs. A lot of it is going to be a little bit more difficult to trade just because we're a little bit farther away from your previous day highs. We're basically have a bullish intraday setup when the higher time frame is bearish, which makes it a lot more difficult. So we much rather just trade names that are bullish on the higher time frames, which there's not too many, or now we'd be waiting for right? Basically the cues to start trending towards the upside here as well. As for MU, the key levels that we have marked out is our 430s. This is really the area we tried breaking above yesterday, but ultimately you can see kind of sellers stepped in right off the bat. Tried reclaiming it later into the session, but was not able to maintain above that 430, and we end up continuing all the way back down in towards our 412. So for MU, something I was interested yesterday, but just didn't really set up the way I'd like it to compared to the overall markets. As you can see, still building up higher lows, but if anything, looks a little bit more like consolidation here. We need to see the break on the hourly time frame hold above that 430. That is still in play for continuation higher, but we're going to have to be a little bit more selective, especially in this current market. But key levels for MU is just going to be our 412 along with our 430 here. Besides that, opening up right in between the middle of the range, so I'll be a little bit more cautious. As for SNDK, a bunch of news recently on SNDK, recently hit our all-time highs. We did expect a little bit of sellers to step in here off our 690. And now you can see, right, sellers stepped in the pre-market, and then we end up just dropping right off the bat. So for SNDK, we had a couple more news events yesterday. With the, I think it was a short report on this ticker. But for this ticker now, the key levels are just going to be that previous day lows along with our 640. So opening up in between, closer to the middle of the range here on SNDK. If we want to see some upside, break above our 640 for continuation. Downside right off the bat underneath at 644. Other possible scenarios, pop and fade off our 664. Or now it's going to be the bounce play here off our 612 for this mean reversion back towards the upside. All right, let's go on to a few other tickers. Intel in a really good spot here. And as for a potential like kind of swing trade or longer term, right? Intel kind of bouncing off key levels, which is our 43. What we like to see here now on Intel, right? Higher lows are still very much being maintained. Like daily chart like to form and start pushing back towards the upside. As for key levels on Intel coming into today, what we're going to have marked out, or sorry, what we did have marked out is our 4520. Other levels that we have marked out here now is just going to be that 46. So 46 previous day highs, as you can see, multiple touches from earlier from February here as well. Break above our 4660, continuation towards the upside is in play. So that's what we have for Intel, a rejection. We can see a little bit of a mean reversion back down in towards our 46. As for a few other names, a couple names popping here in the pre-market, but with the overall markets pushing higher, VIX you can see dropping a little bit here. As I mentioned, the main thing here is going to be that NVDA earnings, which is going to be tonight. So we have a few other earnings here as well, which is going to be key, but the main thing is of course just going to be NVIDIA. That's going to be the main ticker with the most guidance. All right, let me go over a few more tickers here, and then I'm going to get ready for market open. Thanks for your take on SNDK. They also have earnings. Yes, the main thing, as I mentioned, is going to be that NVDA. Let's go on to We'll go on to a few other tickers here. Some of the tickers you guys are mentioning I've already went over, so just make sure you can rewind the stream. I have the watch list on the right hand side, so I just go over all these tickers first. If we're looking at gold here, the key levels that we have marked out is just this previous level of resistance now turning into support, exact level that I talked about yesterday, which was our 5150. Right, previous high, you can see break, retest, coming back down once again. And now we just like to see that push back up and towards the high that we created here on Monday. So for gold, what we now like to see right higher lows being built, and we like to see this push back up and towards our high, which is our 50 to 60 coming into market open. Based off the higher time frames, yeah, that's the key level that we're going to be looking for. Only way you're going to flip back bearish is if we break underneath this 5150. Break back underneath this level, then you can be flipping bearish back towards the downside. Besides that, you're going to maintain a bullish stance or at higher lows and look for that push up and towards that 5250. As for silver, finally reclaiming back above key levels here as well, which is our 89 key psych, multiple touches. Now we're breaking above. We like to use this as a retest for a continued push up and towards that 95. All right, let's go on to the SPY and Qs. I'm going to go over my game plan for today, and then I'm going to get ready for market open. So for today here, overall markets opening up right above our last week's highs, along with our key levels that we have coming into today. What we're going to keep an eye out for, as I mentioned, is going to be this 610. If we can maintain above our 610, we could be looking for longs right off the bat. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on longs. If we do look for longs, you can be a little bit aggressive if buyers step in for a continuation higher. What I am anticipating, right, if buyers want to step in, then we could be looking for longs, as I mentioned. If there's a weak reaction and we just sell off right off the bat, then we're going to be looking for this reversal trade back down in towards that 608 and below. Similar thing here with SPY. We're right at a key level. If we reject off this level with strong sellers right off the bat, we're going to be looking for this mean reversion back down in towards our previous day close. Only way we look for longs, which are going to be tough today, is going to be above our 690, which I don't really like, as I mentioned, because we have a gap fill towards the downside. Plus, the market has been ranging. If we do want to trend, I do expect it to start trending after today with NVIDIA, more guidance, right? We're just going to be a little bit more hands off. Any trades that we do take today, we're just going to be a little bit more cautious because we know that the big news event is in the after hours. Plus, after NVIDIA earnings, that's when we're going to get a lot more clear of a direction in the markets. So that's what we have for the SPY and Qs. Besides that, the SMH is still very much bullish. So all the semiconductors we can expect to have continuation. So if you're talking about the SPY and Qs wise, a lot more range on the tech names. For the SMH, this one's very much bullish. So as long as we can maintain above our 421, we could be looking for continuation towards the upside on these semis. And with that being said, the key levels that we're going to have, along with the key watches, Tesla, let's keep an eye out on your previous day high reaction. NVIDIA, right at the top of the range, which is our 194. If we do want to potentially break out or maintain above our previous day highs, this can be in play. It's going to be a little bit more difficult if you are trading 0-day contracts, but keep an eye out on the maintain above that 194. And then AMD, I do like this one, as I mentioned, above our previous day highs. If we can consolidate right off the bat, reclaim back above that 217, we can be looking for this reclaim later into the session for this push up and towards that 220. As for everything else, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on. I don't really see too much else in the markets here. Amazon, potentially on the higher time frames, break above this 211. But really today, right, we'll keep an eye out on some of the semis, AMD, NVIDIA, in case it wants to break above this 194.50s. And then Tesla, of course, it's going to be off our previous day highs to 410 here. As for everything else in the markets, you have a couple names just bouncing off the lows. But MU is not really doing too much, or even some of the semis. TSM, actually, we talked about this one yesterday, above our 379. Nice mover here on TSM towards the upside, all-time highs play. TSM still in play today above our previous day highs for continuation. So the best looking name is AMD, TSM. You have a couple other semis. Intel's moving nicely here. But besides that, going to be a lot more patient today, of course, with NVIDIA in the after hours. So with that being said, that is going to be it for me today. I am going to get ready for market open here now. Be a little bit more patient today. The market has been fairly difficult the past few weeks, but hopefully we'll start seeing more trends in the markets moving forward. Of course, as I mentioned with the NVIDIA earnings, so we'll kind of touch up on this tomorrow. We'll see how the market digests. We'll see the sentiment moving forward. But after tomorrow, we'll see. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen, but we'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow with, of course, NVIDIA earnings tonight. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. That being said, I am going to call it a day here. All right, take care everyone. Peace.